Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Diana of the Everyday Diosa. I like to think of myself as a friend who helps you heal and align with the life of your dreams. This is the life of my dreams. Now today, as you know, Mondays are my day to kind of just take care of the whole house, get everything like secured, taken care of, set us up for like success in our week, whether that's in homeschooling or like groceries or like just home care in general. We're in the middle part of the day. And of course, this is when I decided that I wanted to sit down in my bed and relax for a little bit. Okay, so I needed to get out of the house for just a little bit. I was feeling myself just feeling very overwhelmed. Not overwhelmed, just kind of overstimulated, honestly.
I'd rather have lunch, or I don't really care.
They have Christmas decor.
I wanna be a weekend lover. Yeah, I'ma be the best damn lover you got. I wanna mess up your covers.
What is that?
A pillow.
What are you getting?
I'm getting felt for my costume and a putty. And I need black pants.
Okay. What are you getting?
And a fit set. And some scissors.
Cool.
The way my hands feel on your body, the way we're dancing in the dark, with every move the way my lips feel on your
It is days like today that I am reminded how quickly things can change. Sometimes the only constant is you. Just remembering that you can choose how you're going to respond and not just react.
Here's your time to shine, or show me what you can do. Make a move, the way my hands feel on your body, the way we're dancing in the dark, with every move I make you're falling. The way my lips feel on your body, the way we're moving in the dark, with every breath we take you're falling.
All right, Miss Penny just got back from the vet. Do you want a puppuccino? Honey, honey. Happy Wednesday to ya. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. We've been up and at it since early today. I am super stoked, mostly because one, I'm back on my 5 a.m. routine. Two, had such a nice, lovely meditation today, and it was just very much in alignment. I'm reading this book by Dr. Joe Dispenza right now. And I bought this book like 2 years ago maybe, and I started the book. I think I did like the intro or like the foreword, and then I never went any further than that. And I tend to do that quite a bit actually, where I buy books in general just because I love books, and then they kind of just like get shuffled. Usually, I guess like what ends up happening is that I buy a book while I'm still reading another book, and then I am not done with that book that I'm currently reading yet, and that new book kind of just gets like lost, or not lost, but just like put onto the bookshelf, and then I finish the book I'm reading, and then I just order another book, and I end up stacking books. But I had intended to start that book, and I guess it just wasn't the time, but now is the time. And as I'm really getting into it, I think looking on it now, I really just needed to get into a space with my mindset in which I was able to receive the information that this book has for me. So I've been reading it for the last few days, and it's just been really, like, it's just clicking, it's making sense to me. We were up and at it early today. As soon as I sat down this rising, it started raining, and it's been raining, and it's gonna be raining all day today, and it's absolutely peaceful. We were planning on going to the zoo today, but this is not gonna let up, so we're gonna have to find something else to do today. It's our last day of fall break.
Cool.
They got us on the Squishmallows, huh?
Yeah. God, how much?
But you know what? They got a lot of people on the Squishmallows too. They were only $10.
Ow.
I don't know.
Usually they're like 30 each.
That is a bargain. So many tomatoes. So we've got tomatoes for sauce.
Tomatoes for like sandwiches.
Yeah, this guy down here is just about ready. Got all these beefsteak tomatoes. Still thriving. That is a lot of tomatoes.
Yeah.
Mabel!
I'm not doing this. They don't listen.
I've been wondering about you. They said that just one look and I'd get caught too. 'Cause there's something about you, and you know it too. All I do is think about you. Your eyes, your scent, your touch is all I dream of. Now I can.
Daisy, why is my brush up here?
Dad.
'Cause we are meant to be. We are meant.
Feels good to sit down and feel good. This week was honestly some really intense shadow work for me. It just brought up a clear understanding of myself, of my energy, my mind, my body. It just made so much sense, like to the point where I just like sobbed and sobbed because I felt like my whole life I have just always gotten so good at reading other people and like what other people would need from me, and to just be that. I think that for any person like on their healing journey, like we're always constantly like going back through to, you know, clear ourselves of that, of like all of these like attachments to what we think of as our personality. And the best way that I can really describe that is kind of like when you get into a relationship with someone and your energy or like your style, you know, starts to match, like you start to look like them because you're dressing the same, like you're starting to get into like the same interests, or you're expressing interest into like what your partner is really into. And when you're not in your power, I think it's really easy for you to just like turn into whatever they want you to be. And for the longest time, I have kind of felt like I had this chameleon effect about me where it's not necessarily, it's not that I'm being fake. It's just that I have learned how to be what other people need me to be, whether that was with my parents, in school, in other relationships, like even in my present relationship with my husband. Like at first, like I really just wanted him to see me as mentally stable, and then I wanted to see myself as a good mother, and I wanted to be a supportive partner for him, like into the things that he was into. And like little by little, as I started feeling safer in my own energy, is when I started to kind of like peel away from that and be okay with being like, you know what, I'm not into the same things that you're not into. And I think we have like more respect for each other because we don't really have a lot of the same interests. Like even on my spiritual journey, there was a time when I just felt like he should be getting into it with me, and he just like is not that. He's not like that, but he is very supportive and he does listen, and that I think makes a lot of difference in a relationship where maybe you don't have a lot of similar interests, just the fact that they're willing to listen. And so part of, you know, this week was just really like dense for me, and it was a lot of things like feeling like I was really uncomfortable in the house because the house was like really muddy with all of the rain, and then with Casey trying to plant grass. And it was like a lot of lessons showing up in multiple different ways to where I just felt like it was just so much. And I honestly was feeling myself at a low that I had not been to in a very long time. And I knew that I needed to go there, but it was really scary for me to be in that place again. Like for me to really feel like I don't even want to be alive anymore. I feel like I can't even be alive anymore because I feel just so uncomfortable. And I was like observing myself going through this. I knew that my life was good. Like I had a lot of beautiful things. Like I'm very happy for my family, our animals, like all of what we have created. But it was like I could see it, but I couldn't like access it. I couldn't like ground into that because I was in all of these feelings. And I think that I started to turn for the better once I was kind of like just allowing myself to feel what I was feeling and thinking to myself like, please God, just help me see this clearly, like help me move through this. And again, like I was just feeling like really, really low. And as I'm even just analyzing that feeling of just wanting to completely quit, I'm thinking to myself like, I don't drink alcohol. I'm not gonna do that. Like the only thing I had was like a bottle of red wine, and I was like, that would not even feel good because then I would get drunk and then I would have a hangover and I would be miserable. So that doesn't work. Like we don't even use Tylenol in this house, you guys. So like I didn't have any coping mechanism really other than to just sit with it. And as I'm looking, you know, at myself like going through this and I'm feeling so much pain and like anguish, I'm thinking to myself like, I set myself up for this moment, so there's a reason why I'm going through this. And even as I'm thinking to myself like having seriously thoughts of self-harm, I was like, I could do this. And then I'm like, why would I do that to my family, people that I love and care about? Like for them to experience something like that, I could not do that to them. And two, and this was kind of like the most important part of that, was that I made a promise to myself that I would never harm my body like that again. And so I could not even entertain the thought of hurting my body to the point of no longer being alive. So as I went through like my list of like what I could do to cope with this, and ultimately coming up with the only way out is through. It really allowed for me to have this like breakthrough of understanding why I feel the way that I feel, where it's coming from, and where I need to like move forward, what I need to do to get through it was huge for me. Understanding why I had to go through that over this week and kind of the things that led up to it that were triggering it. I had my big like emotional like aha moment, and I'm sitting there and I'm in my bed and I'm snuggling with my daughter and we're watching Frozen 2, and it's the part, of course, like, so I have this, you guys, the synchronicity of all of this. I have this moment where it just all makes sense, and I'm just like crying as I'm moving through that. My daughter comes and like snuggles into me. We're watching Frozen 2, and she makes it to the freaking glacier, you guys, and she is like, ooh, you know, walking on the shore. She's going through the village. She's like feeling this excitement of discovering herself, of understanding why she's there, and like wanting all of this to be revealed to her. Like, it was huge for me. So of course, just I felt really at peace through that, because I realized like I set myself up for that. I set myself up in a beautiful way for me to experience that shadow work, to have that aha moment, that healing, that breakthrough, for me to not have access to a lot of things that I would have used to cope, for me to really say, you know what, it's okay for me to go through this without anything, to feel fully supported, to be in my home safe, to be surrounded by my family, to be surrounded by all of this love, people who are patiently allowing me to go through this, was really beautiful and very, very necessary for me. It almost felt strange this rising, where the weather had like shifted. It was crisp, it was cool, the sun was really beautiful. Like, I had a beautiful rising, and that to me is what keeps me coming back into shadow work and trusting myself more as I dig deeper and deeper and deeper into all of this. Be like, there will always be light outside of that darkness. So whatever it is that I have to go back through to clear out, to get to experience more of my joy and happiness and of myself, is absolutely worth it. The triggers, I think, that I was really, that were leading up to this, I knew were money was a huge thing for me. I think I spoke about that in last week's video, where I'm like really settling into this budget that I had to set for myself, and that was a huge trigger. But one of the biggest moments of clarity that I had for myself was that I'd been doing this affirmation that a lot of people have been doing on TikTok from Fit Sarah, where she's saying, I don't chase, I attract what is meant. I don't chase, I attract what is meant for me will find me. And I kept repeating it, kept repeating it. I had this very clear understanding that I could not attract money or what really belongs to me, because I have been so consumed in this masking of myself, of my true energy, as I continue to, like, as I was being this chameleon of just transforming into whatever the environment needed from me in order for me to just feel like I just want to get through it. Like, I don't need to be seen. Like, if anything, I don't want to be seen, because if I'm seen, that means I'm going to be attacked. So there was a lot of that energy. But like, how can you attract if you don't want to be seen? If you don't want to magnetize, excuse me, like if you don't want to be magnetic? And in understanding why I was doing that, and then like, okay, so I really am onto something. I really am in this energy of being very attractive, of bringing to me what I need to. And that's where I'm like, oh my God, like God is really going to let me have my deepest desires. And this is how we're moving through it. Like, we have to get rid of this masking of our true and authentic energy in favor of what we think we need in order to be safe, because I was clearly shown that I have everything that I need to be safe already. And it's not that I don't need to change myself, it's that I just have to allow myself to not change for other people. It was a heavy week. It was a heavy week, and I made it through, and I'm like, wow, like, okay, what used to take us like years now takes us 2 days, like, you know, 3 days really. And it's not over yet, right? So like now is the integration period of like bringing, you know, addressing every single moment in which we've been masking our energy. This is where I start to feel like I already got through the hard part, which was the life experience. The shadow work is also challenging, but not as challenging as when you're going through it and you don't know what's going on. So it's the combination of consciousness and will and our motivation and our action and all of these things like coming together. That is really exciting. It's a big week. I'm really proud of myself. I just had to say that. Today I have a Reiki level 3 I'm teaching, and I'm doing it virtually, so that's exciting too. I love that I get to be at home in the comfort of wearing my soft socks. Like I get to be in my space. Here we go.
You know it's way too late. Regretting our mistakes. You got so head over heels crazy. Need to apologize. We went too far this time. Come a little closer. There's something I have to say. I love you and I hate you and I hope you feel the same. Come a little closer, baby. Please don't walk away. I love you and
Well, friends, we are at the end of another beautiful week. Deeply healing week, very challenging on that aspect, but I think even more than my breakthrough, it's what comes after it that is really important. I noticed myself just feeling today like, man, a lot of the work that I do here is just like so monotonous and feeling almost like just very overwhelmed, very overstimulated by everything, and just feeling like there's just always so much to do. I think as a mom, I feel like that often. You know, I homeschool. It's a big house to clean. There's 4 bathrooms and I cleaned all of them today. You know, the monotony of sweeping the floor every day that the dogs are just gonna track in dirt, and dishes that always have to be clean, meals that always have to be made, all of those things. It's just the way that you choose to see it. And for, you know, the last couple of days, it was really hard for me to shift my perspective on that. And I was aware that I was choosing this, like, this negative outlook, or should I say I was aware that I was feeling that I was not in the power to choose that perspective. And you know, today, once Vida was finally ready for a nap and we got into bed and just put on a movie for her to kind of wind down and take a nap, I had messaged my husband. I was like, I'm just completely drained. I just feel so done, like I don't have anything else to give today. And so he called me and we had just a beautiful conversation, which sometimes for us, we struggle with boundaries with the children, and they just, like, if it was up to them, they would never allow us time to be alone to ourselves. And today we just had the time to be able to sit and talk, and observing my partner as an outward reflection of my mind's ability to, you know, guide me through these feelings. And I felt very safe in my divine masculine's presence. I felt very safe in his guidance, in his ability to, you know, help me wiggle out of this space that I had gotten into where I just felt like I couldn't talk to anybody about what was happening. And that was all it took for me to come back into my feminine power, to feel safe, to be okay with the chaos and the darkness and all of the things. This dog, speaking of no boundaries. Anyways, I felt like I had a particularly dark week. I felt like it was really challenging, and I noticed how I still have some work to do on sticking to my routine and sticking to the things that I know keep my overall health elevated, and not having to come back into this dark space every time. But I also felt very good about the fact that I was able to go into this space where that needed healing, that needed my presence, my consciousness, and allow my partner to help guide me back out of that. Everybody needs mama. It's time for bed. It's a great week, and we're gonna get up tomorrow and we're gonna have a great attitude, and we're gonna do it all over again because this life is worth living.